Welcome back to Brian Knows Movies. Let's talk about Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends is supposed to be the end of the Halloween franchise. At least it is for Jamie Lee Curtis, who promises that this is her final Halloween. She's again joined by Andy Matichak, and then we also have Rohan Campbell, who's going to be joining the franchise as well. David Gordon Green comes back to direct. I haven't done one of these before, but I'm going to do a spoiler review just to be able to talk about some of these parts of this movie freely, because it's hard to express my true feelings without getting into some of the details here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my regular review, and then at the end of my review, I'm going to talk some spoilers. You'll see the chapter markings on the YouTube channel below, so you can skip the spoilers, or you can end after the rating and then not watch the spoilers until you watch the movie, or you can get spoiled. I guess it's your choice. The last Michael Myers massacre happened 4 years ago. Everybody's trying to get on with their lives. Laurie is writing her memoir about Haddonfield and the Michael Myers killings. You have Allyson, who's now a nurse, and she is trying to work her way up the ranks of her clinic. Everybody's trying to move on, but there's still an evil presence there. There's been a lot of copycat killings, or people who've been inspired by Michael Myers creating great acts of violence. So the whole community is still a little bit in an uproar. Not as bad as it was, obviously, when Michael was around, but you have this uproar that's happening within the city. There's a little boy who was killed, but it was by accident. Corey Cunningham was babysitting Jeremy on Halloween night, and Jeremy locked Corey in a upstairs basement. Corey gets out of the basement, but in doing so, he unintentionally hurts Jeremy. Even though he didn't face any charges, he was let go because it was an accident. He still faces a lot of animosity within the community. He's an outcast. People treat him like crap. But, Laurie and Allyson, that's the way they've been treated for a while as well, because they are also getting blowback from the community. Laurie especially, they blame her for the Michael Myers murders, even though she was the one trying to warn them that he was coming back and that he's going to be as dangerous as ever. Allyson and Corey end up getting into a relationship together, but all things seem fine until Laurie starts to realize that maybe all of this bullying and treatment that Corey is facing is starting to affect him in the worst way possible. She's starting to notice some things about him. It reminds her of someone of her past. So the script takes a lot of liberties in order to get us where they want us to go in terms of the narrative here. First of all, it doesn't make sense in terms of the development of Allyson for her to be acting the way that she is. She's so infatuated with Corey, who with all intents and purposes is a loser, and he's not very charming. There's nothing really great about him, especially as he starts to spiral out of control. You question, why is Allyson so infatuated with this guy in the first place? You're not a teenager in this series anymore. You're an adult. You have a job. You think that you'll be having a little bit more discernment. So it seems like Andy Matichak's character really takes a step back here in terms of development, which is a shame. The only character that really has some great development, some great writing, is Jamie Lee Curtis's character of Laurie. You see her trying to take a break of all of the madness that Michael Myers has put in her life, and I think that's a really good character arc because she should. She's older. She's been dealing with this paranoia for her whole life. She's probably went to therapy. It just seems like she's in a really good spot. So I like the development that she has. And let's just be honest, this movie is about Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie. A big portion of it rests on her shoulders, and it doesn't work without her. Something I didn't like, and this didn't make sense also in terms of the script, is this town is so silly. Like, Laurie should be mayor of this town by now, not some outcast that's getting blamed through conspiracy theory as to why Michael Myers did all the killing. It just doesn't make any sense. The way that Allyson is treated doesn't make any sense. But hey, they have to be outcasts. There has to be something that connects them to Corey. So yeah, I get it. Probably the most interesting thing the writer and the directors did is that they actually moved Michael Myers to the background of this film. He's barely in it. You feel his presence because the movie is about this philosophy of evil, innate evil within us, and how do we manage it. And so he's there through that, but outside of that, he's used sparingly. So it's not really a Michael Myers Halloween movie. I think that that's going to be pretty polarizing for audiences who are coming to expect a Michael Myers hack fest like the other two films were. Now, don't get me wrong, there is plenty of killing in this movie, but Michael Myers is not doing most of it. Most of it's being done by copycats. So yeah, this movie really feels more like a comic book than it does a horror movie. The way that they have pushed Michael Myers to the background is something that reminds me of some story arcs. I'm not going to nerd out on you with comics right now, where a main character is pushed to the side, still very important, still central to the story, but not really in it, used sparingly. That's what it reminds me of, and I like it. The only other complaint I really have in terms of the writing and the directing of this movie is that the kills feel very safe. And what I mean by that is not so much the way that they look on screen, because they are pretty gruesome. They're not trying to run away from that R rating at all. But something that was missing from this film that you saw throughout the trilogy, and that you see in most horror movies, is that there's no characters that I can remember caring about. Most of the people who got killed were buttholes. They were people that were not very likable. You don't really feel bad about anybody. Part of the reason why the horror in this film is not there is because you're not connected to any of the characters who are dying. What makes horror great in slashers is like, I don't want this person to die. I like them, and the tension is heightened because of my connection to that character. So that was a big problem for me. Jamie Lee Curtis carries this film. She's the best actor in this film. At least she's given the most to do in this film. Everybody else is just there just to serve the plot and to serve the narrative between her and Michael moving forward. But it really rests on her shoulders, and she holds it. Now, she does have some silly dialogue from time to time. She does some silly things in terms of randomly showing up to people's houses for no reason, just to kind of get a dramatic moment. But you like the dramatic moments. You believe in Jamie Lee Curtis. Could her character been written a little bit better? Yes, but the nostalgia of that character, knowing that we're coming to the end of this journey with her, it feels special. It feels special to see her in the screen as Laurie, an older Laurie, trying to navigate a world that's changed tremendously and yet hasn't changed at all. Andy Manichak, Rohan Campbell, they're fine. You know, they're serviceable. We do get some special appearances here and there from people from other films, but for the most part, once again, it's about Jamie Lee Curtis. This franchise has always just been about the kills. There's nothing really special that David Gordon Green is trying to do with the cinematography here. There's no special lighting tricks that's happening outside of the typical, let me make sure that everything is desaturated and that there's a lot of shadows in the space, just to help to heighten the tension when the killers are on the move in whatever space that they're in. So it's effective. There's nothing special to see, but there's nothing that is not done competently in terms of shooting. The kills are a little underwhelming creatively, but the makeup looks great. You love the blood and the guts. It looks very realistic, at least as much as a horror movie can look realistic. You like the makeup designs. It's pretty well done. All right, so what's my rating? See it, stream it, or skip it? I am giving Halloween Ends a stream it. I think that this movie has a lot of issues with its script and with its performances in the film as well. But the things I do like, Jamie Lee Curtis, for example, our favorite final girl, giving her her bow, giving her her flowers as she exits the franchise. It was fun going on this journey in this film with her. I like that they were bold and decided to take the character of Michael Myers in a different direction. They didn't just give us this character that we've seen for the past 30 plus years that just goes out, can't be stopped, murdering. They do some things with that character that when he is on screen, it's going to be pretty polarized. And I think people are not going to like it. I think some people will like it. It just depends on how open you are to change of this character. Were you coming to this film for something new, or were you coming to this film for nostalgia? Anyway, I like the changes. I just don't think the script was there, and I don't think the performances were where I wanted them to be. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy that loves movies. I'm about to start the spoiler review. If you do not want the spoilers, thank you so much for joining me. But if not, stick around. Okay, so what did they do to Michael Myers that is going to have everybody in two different camps, I feel like? I talked about comic books earlier. They did something to the character that you see in comics, and they basically nerfed the character to be able to fit the narrative. In a world where all the conventions are set up about Michael Myers, he's basically this superhuman man who can't be stopped, he can't be killed. Shoot, at the end of Halloween Kills, he literally kills a whole townspeople. There's like 30 people he killed all at once. They came at him, they thought they had him beat down, and he rose like the Undertaker and killed everybody. This is a guy that cannot be stopped. So what do they do here? They push it forward 4 years in the future, and Michael Myers is basically living like a homeless guy in this like abandoned sewer. He's old, he's still injured, and that's just kind of weird to see Michael Myers like that. He's not as intimidating, even when he does come out of this sewer to kill a couple of people. He's nowhere near as intimidating as he's been throughout the rest of this trilogy or what he's been previously, and I think people are going to have problems with that. They tried to make make Rohan Campbell's character the successor to Michael Myers, but he just doesn't have the mystique. This backstory about him being mistreated by the town actually takes away from him being a Michael Myers surrogate. You want him to be like Michael Myers, who is just pure evil incarnate. There's no reason for him to be doing the murders that he's doing, except that it gets him off, it gets him excited. He's just an evil guy. One thing I didn't like about what they did with this film, though, is Michael Myers kills somebody in this film, his first kill, and it seems like it powers him up again. Like, every kill that he gets, supposedly he gets stronger and stronger and stronger, like Highlander or something. I don't know. That's a really, really old reference there. But then he still has a hard time killing people. People are fighting back. It seems more like Ghostface in the Scream franchise in terms of how normal he is, as opposed to being the mythic Michael Myers that we know. In fact, Corey basically gets impatient, beats up Michael Myers, takes his mask, and then becomes the new Michael Myers. And it's like, okay, this little puny, annoying guy beats up Michael Myers and takes his mask, even if he did surprise him. That's just so beyond the pale for a lot of people. I don't think that they're going to like that. But I think that they had to do that to get to where they want to get with the story, and that's killing Michael Myers. As much as we love Laurie Stroud, as much as she's trained, there is no way on her own she should be able to beat a fully powered Michael Myers. But she can't kill an old Michael Myers who has injuries and just doesn't have it like he used to. That final sequence would never have been believable if they didn't set up Michael Myers to be less than what he's been throughout the whole trilogy or throughout the whole series. So nerfing the character is something you see in comics all the time. For example, Captain America Civil War. If Thor was there and he was siding with Captain America, that fight between the heroes would have been over pretty quickly. Movie's over. So you have to remove Thor to be able to make that narrative work. And that's what we see here. Something I didn't like was I felt like it would have been a better, or at least more satisfying, if they killed one of the main characters off. Even the old sheriff, I think Will Patton's his name, or really should have been Laurie herself or her granddaughter. Somebody of significance should have died in this film. The only person of significance who dies is Michael Myers. Especially if they were committed to doing that silly scene at the end where they have this parade of his body and he's dumped into this trash compactor / meat grinder to make sure that there's never a scintilla of his body seen again. I think that was really silly and unnecessary. They should have ended the movie right after he gets killed, or they should just cut that scene out and just showed Allyson leaving town. They should have ended the movie there. But it would have made more sense if Laurie was still so angered by Michael Myers killing her granddaughter or killing her love interest. Give me some real reason why this whole parade had to happen. That was silly. That took the movie down a couple of marks for me. But overall, I think that I liked the change to Michael Myers' character because it's different than what we've gotten from other iterations of him, obviously. But hey, what do you think about it? Please let me know in the comment section below. The comments are open for spoilers as well, so we can talk a little bit about why they made the decisions that they did, if you liked it or you didn't. Either way is fine with me. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Please like and follow and share and subscribe, all those things that YouTubers always say, and I will see you at the theaters next week.